So today I started by cleaning up the welds on the beak and the lower beak, and just dressing the welds, blending the welds, getting it ready to polish. And now I'm actually taking like a 1/8 round stainless TIG rod and shaping it for the beak. So in here will be the nostril. This will be another added layer. And then I'll put, after this piece gets another layer with the nostril, and I'll drill the nostril and build a kind of a flare with welding rod around the back of the nostril and weld it all up. And then once this layer is on here, I'll add a little more welding rod on the outside edge that will work its way down to the lower jaw here. So, and then that will, I'll show you with this. This is gonna get shaped, rounded a little bit, and welded onto the lower jaw, and that creates the start of his lip, and that lip will come around into the upper one, and then the two pieces together will make a finished beak. So we're moving forward. It's looking pretty good. I'm really happy with the shape of the beak. It's got a nice profile to it. So far so good. I'll clean it up with the wire wheel. This is the lower beak, and what I'm working on is building the lips of the beak, so the upper and lower beak. So what I've done is I've taken some 1/8, actually I think this is 3/16 stainless round bar, and I've shaped it to the edge of the beak at the back, and the lip kind of starts a little bit past halfway of the length of the beak. The lip starts, and this will actually kind of come around into the upper lip. And to recreate that look, I've just taken the 3/16 round bar and I've TIG welded it all the way around on both sides. So as you can see, I've run a nice bead around. I've built up the tip and flared it in. So now I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna use the grinder, and I'm gonna grind all the shape into this. So I'll actually grind my weld out. I'm just using my weld as a filler, and I'll grind all that shape into it, make it smooth, and then I'll work it down and actually polish it into the beak. So this will all go from looking like a welded part to just looking like it's molded right into the beak. Now you can see how that beak is flaring into the top beak with a bit of a flare like a bird has. And now I'm gonna cap this. I've outlined where the next layer and the beak looks like it's coming out of the skin. So there's a next layer. So I'll cap this with stainless, and then when they're all ground and polished, the two pieces will look like they're molded together. This is gonna be the tongue. So it just kind of sits down at the bottom and fills the bottom beak. I used to make these really complicated tongues, and I learned this little technique, and it works so good and looks so good when you're done. A little bit too much there. Hopefully I can save it. I prefer to stay on the outside of the line. That way I can grind to the line. So that's just kind of folding it in half. So that kind of centered up the bend a little bit. Now the tricky part. So we're getting there, we're getting some shape into it now. So sometimes I'll change the shape of these a little bit. This one, I'm not super happy. I prefer to get I prefer to get that seam tighter and then these stretched out more. See, I think it should be a little more pointed. If I grind it into a point, I think it'll look better. That gives you an idea. See, it just gives it some texture and some realism on the inside. What I'm doing now is I just want to get in here and polish up the tongue, and then when I put the jaw on it, looks like a finished piece inside. So what we've done is with the lower beak here is we've mounted the tongue. You can see here where it's holding it up in the air. It's just a little piece of metal that holds it up in position. So when the beak's mounted and open, it's going to give you a finished look with the tongue inside. So the next step is to finish the layering on the upper beak. So I'm going to make the layer where the skin would, basically where the beak would come out of the face of the hawk. To start, I'm going to wrap it in some paper, and then I can press down on the paper, and that little round bar will make an indentation of where I need to cut the paper to fit around the beak. You can see it making a little bit of a dent on there now. And I just push on both sides, and then it gives me an outline of where I need to cut, probably more so on this side. You can see the outline where I need to cut. And then I can trace that onto stainless and then wrap the stainless around, and then we'll clamp it down and TIG weld it. All right. There's the initial wrap of the template I've made. And now what I'll do is I'll make sure this is all clamped tight in spots, and we'll get it all tacked. And then I'll weld this out solid. And then on the side here, I can start drawing. I'll just take some black ink and figure out where those nostrils are gonna go. And then now that this layer's on here, I'll also add a little piece of round bar along the bottom and start building out his little flare of his lip. I've taken that weld off now and gotten in there with the tool, and hopefully the tape has protected it enough that I'm not scratched all over the place, but it just smoothed it out, blends it in to the finished product. And so what I'll do is I'll leave a nice grain finish on this side, and then I'll do a full mirror polish on this side, and you'll get the contrasting finishes on the metals, which will make the beak stand out. So I'm going to peel the tape off here.